next presenter is Claire Mueller, and she's a communications manager at Great Rivers Greenway, an ex-advertising industry professional, a lover of nightjars, flying boxes, and cats big and small. She is a St. Louis native who has lived on both coasts of the United States, is a fierce proponent of environmental and social justices, and likely to able to eat her body weight in sushi. So step up to the scale. Step up to the scale right here. Thank you.
Yeah, poor Julie was like, do you have a bio? And I'm like, here's several weird bullet points. I hope this is good. I feel like mine will be significantly less profound than Dean's, but I'm talking to you about birds. So, yeah, I have worked with a couple cool species and a couple different volunteer organizations. So I'm going to talk to you about those, some human-made challenges that they face, and ways that you can help. So, qualifications. Formally, I have none. I have had a couple volunteer places and asked a lot of questions and learned a lot along the way. So the two main types of birds I work with are that you think of when you think of birds of prey, and then passerines, which are what you think of when you think of songbirds. You'll see the technical term borb on the passerine. That's when a bird's real fat and shaped like an oil. So these are the two that I have worked with most across some of our lovely Missouri organizations. So new birds to this world come in two varieties, altricial and precocial. So uggos and cuties. The cuties, the precocials, are just more formed. When they come out, they can see, they can walk, they can do the things to survive. These little dorks can't do any of that. And all passerines, songbirds, are altricial. So you actually know a lot more about birds than you think. This is a wing. Are you familiar with any of these bones? Yes, you have them in your wing. Not pictured to the left here of the humerus is a coracoid, so it's similar to their collarbone. So lots of similarities kind of in our makeup there. You wouldn't really know unless we poked around the wings. So this is a little altricial passerine. That, for reference, is my pinky. So they're kind of silly and small and need a lot of help at the beginning. But them being like tiny and weirdly see-through makes a big difference because you can tell exactly how much you fed them. So it makes it a lot easier. Yeah, it's a little swallow. This little silly golf ball on your left is a baby cardinal, and it will grow into this beautiful northern female cardinal here. They kind of have like a teenage phase where they just get really angry and chaotic, and they are granivores, so they eat lots of seeds, and that makes them really adept at biting you when they're not happy. So, not recommending you touch them, but these are some chimney swifts. They were getting really glamorously the poo cleaned up with their wings. They are vertical perchers, so they live inside chimneys, as their name suggests. They're kind of running out of nesting habitat, so you'll sometimes see people build fake chimneys in their backyards, and these guys will just kind of fly in and out. These are nighthawks / nightjars, lovingly called brown potatoes. They're aerial insectivores, so that means that when they are eating, they're flying. They open their beautiful gaping maw and suck up as many bugs as possible. They're often incorrectly identified as injured and brought in for rehab treatment, but they really just need time to recoup and sit on the ground a lot. There's a little emu. This is Sprinkles. I'm making that up. Sprinkles has terrifying dinosaur feet, as you'll see. They are tridactyl, so they've got 3 big claws in front. That allows them to run very quickly, like 30 miles an hour, and they can get up to like 6'3". They also like to play in the sprinkler, like dogs. This is a turkey vulture. So these are nature's trash men. They do a ton of work for our ecosystem by eating and digesting what would otherwise be bacterial breeding grounds. And they have a really good sense of smell. You can actually see them through their cute little noses. They lead other vultures to carry on, so they're kind of like little team leaders. This is a hilarious set of pictures to me. This is Shakespeare, the Great Horned Owl. Slowly realizing that I'm taking his picture. I don't know that he's very happy with me. They have enough PSI in their talons to break a human femur. That's cool. I don't know if any of you have heard of Mark Glenshaw, but he's a local tour guide who does park tours in Forest Park to show you owls he's been watching for like 20 years. This is Dorothy. She's my fave. She's an Andean condor with a 20-foot wingspan. Oh no, not 20, 10, I totally just lied to you, I'm sorry. She's 20 years old with a 10-foot wingspan. And they can live up to be up to like 70 years old in the wild, which is kind of impressive. So here's a couple things that pose threats to a lot of types of birds. Windows. Birds, you hear like bird brain. They're not unintelligent, they just don't have the same social human cues as, there's a window frame around that, it's a window. So something you can do is put these sheets on that no more than 2-inch apart dots help birds realize, I can't fit through that space, I'm not gonna bonk off of it. This is my traffic cone shaped cat. She's not a bird, but she's inside because she poses a big threat to birds. I love cats more than anybody. Please keep them inside. They are ridiculously shaped, but also very agile hunters and can kill up to 4 billion birds a year. 80 billion. So, and bats. We love bats too. Lots of people think about how they can help birds build nests, and they'll check out dryer lint. Both danger to us and birds. Lots of non-organic compounds like spandex and nylon will break down and actually have microplastics. Don't throw this outside. They're good at making nests. They got it. You can help them in other ways. Please don't do that. Sticky traps. That was probably one of the worst things about my volunteering experience was removing sweet little babies from sticky traps. They will pull their bones out of socket trying to get off. They'll re-stick themselves. It is not a good situation. Please do not use these. It's a rough time to try to get everybody bathed afterwards. They're very unhappy with that whole situation. Bird feeders. Please keep them weirdly closer to your windows to deter them from hitting the window. So they can kind of like be slowing down and understand that they're not going to bump off the window. If you do put them somewhere else, at least 10 feet from your house is best, because that will help prevent collisions as well. I sped up. Okay, this is one of the first places I worked. So in Overland, Missouri, wild bird rehabilitation does passerine. So our little songbird friends rehab and rehabilitation for only native songbirds. So we want to make sure when there's babies there, they're only hearing native calls. They don't get used to external calls and get lost later on in life. So if you find a bird who's bumped out the window, take it back. World Bird Sanctuary is in Fenton, Eureka area, and they deal with the big guys. So they have birds from all over the world. They also do rehab and release. The unreleasable birds become ambassadors. So if you ever visit and go on Indian Avenue, you can see a whole ton of different types of birds and learn about their stories. And yeah, Dorothy was there. So you don't have to love birds, you don't have to love bird watching. I just think it's a really nice moment to kind of pause and have a mindful moment. I think it's cool to see what you can observe, and sometimes that leads to things beyond birds. Sounds in nature, other stuff that you would not have taken in usually. So don't have to bird watch, but just take a mindful moment. So.